Mechanical Animal Hybrid Build. The changes. Now I am obviously going to be repeating myself here just because this is something that I covered during PTS 1 as well as PTS 2 for Year 5 Season 3. So please do bear with me, and this is basically just the overall shake-up that hybrid builds have actually had, and it involves basically two weapons, which we'll be covering one of them in this video. Mechanical Animal. Now the change to Mechanical Animal, or Future Perfection, not Future Perfect, Future Perfection, is that it no longer scales to 3 skill tiers. It scales to 4, which is actually pretty damn good, and it does allow for some absolutely great hybridized builds, of which I am running one right now. Now there are two very easy, and I do mean easy, setups we can utilize for this. However, before we get into this, what I need everyone to understand, if you are watching this video, is that the way in which it works, even if you're going to be using a shield, is you need to get to actual skill tier 6 to proc the overcharge. This means the little yellow icons. Although your shield will take effect from having a blue core, such as if you are at skill tier 2 with a blue core, you will have a skill tier 3 shield. But if you want to overcharge it using Future Perfection or indeed Future Perfect, you will need to hit actual skill tier 6, those little yellow things. So to get the overcharge, when using Future Perfect or Future Perfection, you basically have to ignore the fact that you have a blue core, which can lead some people a little bit astray. However, don't worry too much about it, because both of the builds that I'll be showing in this video do operate very well under pressure and can obviously deal with this little hiccup in its little system, but it's not too bad. Now, the first build I'll be showing you is pretty damn simple. It's the one that you can see in the background footage. It is the one that I prefer. It's a little bit more tanky, it's a little bit more survivable, as well as the fact that it is very new player friendly. So if you're more of a casual player and you're wanting to lean a little bit more towards the DPS side, then this is a build definitely for you. And the reason I say this is because it uses Memento. It does do a little bit less damage than the second option, though not really by much, but where you lack in that tiny, and I do mean tiny little bit of damage, you make up for it in some decent armor regen, and having an extra blue core, and the fact that you have a skill tier 3 shield off of base, 2 skill tiers and 1 blue core, whereas the second build is skill tier 2 at base. Now in terms of damage, it is a little bit of a slow start. It is quite low. However, it does pick up at a decent-ish pace, nowhere to a point of where it's going to be absolutely top tier or God's gift to Green Earth, and there are a few different other ways in which we can potentially work around this. However, that would be basically compromising the build for a more powerful, essentially, weapon. So what we actually have here, without any further ado, is, I'm pretty sure most of you could figure it out, is we are running 4-piece strikers. Now I do have every single striker piece rolled to critical hit damage, as hopefully you can see, and I have every mod slot rolled to crit chance. This gives us 59 and 105, and the second option is utilizing the striker's backpack, and we have a Picaro's holster that is rolled to a yellow. This one does offer us more DPS. The option with Picaro's does give us more DPS. However, you're a little bit squishier up front, and it is much more reliant on getting those striker stacks, whereas the first build, as long as you're able to maximize the use of Memento and keep as well as maintain those stacks, your upfront damage is just ever so slightly higher, but you get less worth out of strikers. This is a more useful way in which I like to play, which is one of the reasons why I prefer Memento. It also gives us a little bit more upfront, like I said, with the shield, and I am pairing it with the Artificer Hive. Now, how this build essentially works is we utilize for this build Technician, which gives us skill tier 1, and then we use Memento, which obviously comes with a second skill tier. Then, as we get kills, up to 4 kills, we are now at skill tier 6 with essentially 6 red. If we then get a 5th kill, Future Perfection will cause an overcharge. This will cause our shield to basically be immortal for 10 to 15 seconds, I believe, which allows the Artificer Hive to then recharge it. Having as well a skill tier 6 shield with a skill tier 6 Artificer Hive that is going to be repairing it is actually surprisingly damn tanky. It's not going to be the tankiest thing in the world. If you do get like overrun with enemies or try and push this into legendary, you will see how not tanky this is. But for a variety of different missions, such as running around here in Lincoln Memorial or just pushing open world content, this build is perfectly, and I do mean perfectly fine, for solo players. And like I said, it is pretty damn survivable, especially when utilizing Memento. It does kind of require a little bit of situational awareness because all of your tankiness is up front, because I opt for a shield. You can also, if you wish, go for a drone and turret. The reason I don't do that is because the drone and turret kills do not work for Future Perfection, which means you as the player actively have to get the kills, and if the drone or turret steals them, you're out of luck. And you never know, you might not be able to maintain your stacks. Although the stacks do last for a hefty time, I believe 15 or 19 seconds, something very bizarre. However, the overall performance of this is working pretty damn well. Now with the second build, with Picara's Holster rolling the core to yellow, obviously we still get the 15% weapon damage as an attribute on Picaros, and we do opt out of Memento for the Striker's Backpack. This means our upfront damage is basically just our weapon damage until we either stack the Obliterate, which is going to be the chest talent I have opted to use here, as well as then also start stacking into Strikers. Now, obviously, we are now just comparing stacks to the build-up of Memento, so this does mean that up front, if you have Memento stacks, up front without Striker stacks, the Memento build will do more. But at the top end, especially now because we are at 117 critical hit damage with the Striker's Backpack, whereas the one with Memento was at 105. And then with just a simple bit of logic, just taking into account that the Striker's Backpack takes our Striker stacks from 0.65% per stack to 1% per stack. We can pretty much guarantee that at the top end, the option with the Striker's Backpack is going to be the stronger one at the top end. But you are also sacrificing that blue core, your armor regen, as well as a little bit of skill efficiency. So depending on what skills you're using, they could also potentially be doing less or just be less effective overall. So just to reiterate these two builds, up first we have 4-piece Strikers with Memento and Cheska. I've left the talent blank, but it's up to you what you want to put in there. All Striker pieces are rolled to critical hit damage. Cheska obviously crit chance, crit damage. All mods are critical hit chance. All attachments on the weapon are critical hit chance, minus obviously the mag for plus 20 magazine damage. And then for the second build, it's basically the exact same. 4-piece Strikers, again, all rolled to critical hit damage. All mods, critical hit chance. Cheska piece, your choice of talent, with critical hit chance, critical hit damage. And then lastly will be a Picaro's Holster. The one I have here is shown as critical hit damage, though if you need, you can get away with critical hit chance. Just make sure that you swap one of your critical hit chance mods for critical hit damage. Anyway, that is just about going to do it for this video. Hopefully it's been of some use to you. Have fun, good luck, don't die. It's bad for the health.